Hi, it's Gabrielle, and today I am doing a review on this Tartelette Toasted palette. I know this palette has been out for a little while, but since the weather is cooling down and we're kind of easing into fall, I figured I might as well do a really nice warm look on my eyes today. And I'll go over kind of how the palette is structured and the different types of looks that you could potentially do with it. So without further ado, let's get started. So to start off this eye look today, I'm going to dip into S'more, which is a matte cream shade. Just going to pop it underneath the brow bone. In the crease, I'm just going to go in with a little bit of Cashmere, which is a matte apricot shade. And then to deepen up the crease, I'm going to take a little bit of Warmth, which is a rust shade. These colors do blend beautifully, and it smells really nice. So using a Real Techniques eye brush, this is their Instapop crease brush. I'm going to take Sunrise, which is a yellow shimmer, and I'm going to pop it in the inner corner. This is one of the shades in the palette that isn't my favorite, just because sometimes it can get a little bit chalky. I'm taking a little bit of that same shade right underneath the brow bone. For all over the lid, I'm going to take my favorite shade in this palette, Flame. It's a gorgeous red shimmer metallic. In the outer corner, I'm going to deepen it up using the same brush and the shade Fireside. This is the deepest shade in the palette, and it is a matte brown. I'm going to take that same deep shade Fireside in the outer corner underneath my eye. So normally I would just use the same shade Flame on the lower lash line as well, but since this is a review, I want to use as many of the colors as possible. So I'm going to go in with Simmer right here. This is another beautiful metallic shimmer shade. So I just finished up my eyes with some black eyeliner and mascara. So let's go ahead and talk about the palette. So this palette has 12 different shades. It has a good mix of matte and shimmers. So the mattes you have in this palette are S'more, Cashmere, Warmth, Latte, Cozy, and Fireside. So in my opinion, you'd probably have one highlight shade that's matte, 2 to 3, depending on your skin tone, mid-tone shades, and then 1 or 2 deepening shades here in the corner with Fireside and Cozy. I really like the mattes. I think the mattes are some of the best formula that I've tried. They're fairly pigmented and they blend out really nicely, especially when it comes to the transition shades. If I could ask for anything else in this palette, I would probably pick a shade that's somewhere in between Latte and Cozy, because it seems like the shade difference or the deepness of the color is very different between these two shades, and there's really nothing to kind of go in between when it comes to matte shades. That being said, they're really great and I couldn't find any reason not to like them. Now moving on to the shimmers. This is, in my mind, where it's very hit or miss. Either it's an amazing shade and it's almost perfection, or I have no idea what they were thinking and mine just totally crumbles apart. Like maybe I got a one dud shade out of certain batches, but let's go through the shades and I'll tell you what my thoughts are. Okay, so up here at the top, Sunrise. This is a shimmery yellow shade. I used it in the inner corner of my eyes and right underneath my brow bone. It's not bad. It's not super, super shimmery, which I appreciate. Sometimes it can get a little chalky on me just because I think the shade is so light that sometimes it looks a little strange. Sunset here is a beautiful, like, bronzy, warm shade. I like it. It's not my favorite formula. It feels kind of dry, to be honest, compared to some of the other shimmers in here. So it's not a bad one, but it just feels like it's not as creamy. And when I get like a shimmer or a metallic, I really want that shade to kind of glide over my eyelid. Here, Crackle. In the palette, Crackle looks so stunning. It's this dark, deep, chocolatey brown with these gold flecks. None of the gold flecks really transfer, but it's as if it was a matte shade that they kind of put gold in to just attract people to the palette. I feel like some of the gold might stick if you had like a really sticky base or a glitter base, but when I'm using this palette, like, it's very travel friendly, it's very nice. I'm not gonna pack an extra glitter base just to use one of the eyeshadows that is very dark and has a little bit of gold shimmer in. So that one, I don't really understand what they were going for. I don't know if they kind of just wanted the shade to look pretty in the palette and then kind of just use it more as just like a deep chocolatey shade that you could use to deepen up the crease or deepen up the outer corner. So I'm not really sure where they were going with that one. That one is probably a pretty hard miss for me just because it seems very deceptive. Like, when I look at a palette, I want to see what I'm gonna get on my face, if that makes sense. Okay, so the next shimmer in this row is Flame. Now, this is possibly the one reason to come pick up this palette because it is so smooth, so silky, so pigmented. I think they really nailed it with this shade. The shade is unique and nice and it's stunning. Like, sometimes I just would put that shade all over my lid and blend it out a little bit into my crease and call it a day. That's how easy the shade is to work with. The next shimmer shade is now the worst shade in this palette. This is Candle. Actually, no, I guess Crackle is. Candle, oh my gosh. It is, sorry about the noise. Candle is so gritty. It feels like you're rubbing sandpaper or like sand in between your fingertips. Like, if you could feel this, like, you can just see, it's a beautiful shade, but do you see all that grit there? Like, it's pretty ridiculous how gritty this eyeshadow is. And it's a shimmer, which I'm kind of like, maybe I got a dud, but this is just like, it's a pretty shade. I feel like it's a shade that I would probably use to like, more as like a highlighter on my face if it wasn't so glittery. But it's got a good tone to it, but it's just so, like, I feel like I'm at the beach. Like, it literally makes me feel like I'm at the beach. That's how gritty and sandy it feels, and I was so disappointed in the shade, so I never really use it. So moving on to the next shade, because I don't like to dwell on negativity too long. This shade is Simmer. This is another really great bronzy shade. This is probably one of the better shimmers in this palette too. It's really gorgeous. You could pretty much use it all throughout the year. It'd be really great, like bronzy smoky eye for summer. And you could pretty much warm it up if you wanted to do more of a fall look. So I have no complaints there. It's not as creamy as Flame, but it's not a bad shadow. So that is what I think about this palette. As far as the packaging is concerned, it's really nice. I like this design in the front. It's really pretty and you can clearly tell what you're going to get inside. Even though it's not see-through, you can say, okay, this is clearly a warm toned eyeshadow palette. And this is really compact. It has a normal snap closure, so it's not magnetic, but I don't really mind. It's pretty secure, so it's not going to like open up in your bag. and it's pretty thin. So this is definitely a palette that I would use if I was like traveling on an airplane or just traveling in general. And it's pretty hardy. It is plastic, but it's pretty weighty, so it feels high quality and it feels pretty luxurious. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Be sure to follow me on Instagram because I do have giveaways on a regular basis. I do have one coming up shortly within the next week or so. And be sure to subscribe and like this video because it means a lot to me, and I will see you guys next time. Gosh, it's so cold in here. How are you staying warm? Well, I'm always toasty because I got toasted. Why don't you try it out? Okay. Okay, I will. Oh, God, it's so hot. Thanks, Tarte, for always keeping me warm.